I don't feel like I've transcended anything particularly, except that I've been very fortunate.
We do have some breaking news that we want to get to here on this Saturday. You may recognize her. She's a famous actress and producer there in Hollywood. Actress Diane Keaton has now died at the age of 79.
She was famous for her roles in as Annie Hall in The Godfather and Something's Gotta Give.
They say Hollywood hides its darkest secrets behind perfect smiles, and Diane Keaton's last message might just prove it. It makes me feel like you are crazy. Those were her haunting words before she suddenly vanished from the spotlight.
It makes me feel like you're crazy.
What came next left even her closest friends in shock. A cryptic recording that no one can fully explain.
Can't imagine the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s without you. Love you, Diane.
Can you imagine the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s without her? Love you, Diane. One of her longtime friends posted online, turning heartbreak into speculation. Was that mysterious message a confession, a cry for help, or Hollywood's final love letter to one of its most misunderstood icons? They say real stars never fade. They just leave behind mysteries nobody dares to solve. And Diane Keaton, with her bold hats, razor-sharp wit, and unpredictable charm, has now become one of those legends wrapped in unanswered questions. At 79, Diane was reportedly found unresponsive inside her California home on October 11th. The Los Angeles Fire Department confirmed a woman matching her description was rushed to the hospital, but no one has confirmed why. No visible trauma, no official cause of death, just a cold silence echoing through her Brentwood mansion.
Some breaking news out of Hollywood. People magazine reports Oscar-winning actress Diane Keaton has died. Keaton shot to fame in 1972, starring in The Godfather.
And here's where things get truly eerie. Only weeks before her death, Diane began pulling back from the world, canceling public appearances, avoiding paparazzi, and quietly listing her beloved dream home for sale. This wasn't some random property. It was the architectural masterpiece she once swore she'd never leave. But she did, and no one knows why. Friends noticed she seemed off, distant, tired, not quite herself. But nobody thought it would come to this.
I have a lot of memories of Diane. I guess I feel as though I've known you my whole life.
Then came the family statement. Short, polished, and strangely detached. Her family has asked for privacy in this moment of great sadness. Privacy from what, exactly? That's what people are asking now. Reports claim the house was sealed off almost instantly after her passing. Even close friends couldn't get inside. And the timeline, it's got insiders scratching their heads. Some sources whisper that first responders were already on the scene before anyone called 911. Rumor has it that a quiet request for media discretion went out within hours, the kind of message studios use when they need things to disappear fast. Some call it standard procedure, others call it damage control.
At this point, Diane's cause of death is unclear, according to TMZ.
So what were they hiding? Why the rush to silence the story? Was her family protecting Diane's dignity or hiding something she didn't want the world to know? In her final months, Diane made sudden moves that didn't add up, selling her home, backing out of projects, and reportedly talking about putting things in order. And that mysterious recording she made just before her death, no one outside her inner circle has heard it yet. But word is, it could change everything. So what really went down inside that mansion? Was it natural causes, a hidden illness, or something Hollywood doesn't want anyone digging too deep into?
It wasn't a time when people talked about mental health and addiction. No, none of that. Absolutely not. My career was starting to take off more, and I was gone almost all the time. I lived in New York.
Because let's be real, if there's one thing this town does better than making blockbusters, it's spinning tragedy into a glossy cover story. And right now, Diane Keaton's death feels less like an ending and more like the first act of a chilling mystery. Before she became Hollywood's quirky queen, the woman who made awkwardness charming and turned floppy hats into a signature, Diane Keaton was quietly fighting a war no one saw coming. Behind that nervous laugh and magnetic wit was someone battling self-doubt, control issues, and suffocating silence. In her 20s, when her career was just beginning to explode, she developed a painful secret: bulimia. It all started in 1968 when she landed a role in Broadway's Hair. The director allegedly told her she'd get the lead if she lost weight, and that single comment flipped a switch. In her memoir, Then Again, Diane confessed she became a master at hiding it, living a double life built on obsession, shame, and impossible standards. The kind of perfection Hollywood praises while pretending not to see the damage it causes.
The fantasies, can you imagine? That's not attractive.
But you were smart not to tell her.
No, look, I'm great at hiding.
Yeah.
I was very good at hiding. I managed that very well in keeping secrets.
But here's where things take a cruel turn. Years later, during the glitzy American Film Awards, Woody Allen, as her longtime collaborator and ex, made a joke about her eating disorder right on stage. "I didn't know she was bulimic," he quipped. "If I knew she was throwing it up, I could have taken her to Hut." The crowd laughed. Diane laughed too. But it was the kind of laugh that hides pain. For many watching, that moment said everything about Hollywood's twisted sense of humor, where even a woman's trauma can become punchline material.
Didn't you develop bulimia at that time?
That's what it was. It started because somebody said in the dressing room, one of the girls said that there was this thing that you could do in order to lose weight.
Those who knew her say that joke stung deeply. One insider said she never forgot it. It cut through all the poise and laughter she used as armor. Even decades later, that shadow never really left her. Diane once said, "Bulimia is a mental illness born from an overabundant need for more, too much of everything." And maybe that's exactly what defined her life. Collecting houses, roles, relationships, all beautiful distractions built from a desperate need for control. But control is fragile, and when her health started to fade, people close to her noticed something unsettling. That same drive that made her unstoppable might have come back, not in the glamorous, productive way everyone celebrated, but in quiet, harmful habits behind closed doors.
Like I say, that would have been a loss. That would have been a big loss for me. So it seems as though whenever I have these very strong feelings, I should just forget saying these things.
To the public, Diane was the charming eccentric, the woman who made neurotic look glamorous. But behind those oversized sunglasses and flawless smiles, she was surviving, not thriving. That trademark grin wasn't just confidence, it was camouflage. And now, with her mysterious death hanging in the air, whispers are growing louder. Did the private battles she fought for decades ever truly stop? Or did they just change shape? Some insiders are wondering if the same perfectionism that made her a Hollywood legend might have also been what slowly destroyed her from the inside out. Hollywood can be a brutal place. Loyalty is rare, and survival depends on knowing when to play the game. But Diane, she never played it. She stood by the people she loved even when it cost her. That loyalty, pure, unfiltered, and stubborn, made her adored by fans, but also made her an outsider in a town built on alliances and power moves.
Where did Sleeper come in all this? Was this before?
Sleeper's early.
Yeah.
That was great fun.
And nowhere was that loyalty more complicated than with Woody Allen. Their connection went far beyond scripts and spotlights. It was personal, emotional, and full of contradictions. They met in the early 70s, two anxious dreamers trying to make sense of fame, fear, and love. Together, they created magic. Play It Again, Sam, Sleeper, Love and Death, and of course, Annie Hall. That role, written for her voice, her quirks, her awkward grace, won her an Oscar and sealed her status as Hollywood's thinking man's muse. But now, decades later, that same connection might be what's dragging old ghosts back into the spotlight again. It wasn't acting, it was her. Diane Keaton wasn't playing a character in Annie Hall. She was the character. But what started as a creative partnership between her and Woody Allen soon turned into something tangled, emotional, and way too real. Their romance eventually fizzled out. But their loyalty, that never burned out. They became inseparable in the public's mind. Hollywood's quirky, brainy duo who blurred the line between art and real life. But when Woody Allen's world came crashing down under disturbing accusations of child abuse, Diane did something almost no one in Hollywood dared to do. She stood by him.
So whenever one comes up, we push it.
Oh, go for it. Let's see it.
Well, we were at Manhattan Murder Mystery together.
Yes, we
and
were.
This is where I met you and Alan Alda.
While studios, stars, and entire networks turned their backs, Diane didn't just stay silent, she defended him. She went on social media writing, "Woody Allen is my friend and I continue to believe him," even linking an old 60 Minutes interview where Allen denied everything. That one tweet flipped her whole reputation overnight. Diane, once seen as a feminist trailblazer and a symbol of independence, suddenly became the face of denial in a movement built on exposing abuse. Reddit threads exploded, think pieces filled the internet, and former fans didn't hold back. They called her tone deaf, out of touch, even complicit. Some said her loyalty blinded her, while others whispered maybe she knew something the rest of the world didn't. The timing made it worse. Back in 1993, right in the middle of Allen's custody scandal, Keaton replaced Mia Farrow in Manhattan Murder Mystery. To some, that was solidarity. To others, it looked like betrayal.
Yeah. And Ron Rifkin and Angelica Houston. And Woody, we did a scene at Elaine's, the fabulous Elaine's place.
But Diane, she didn't flinch. She stood firm beside him, like she always had. Insiders said Woody appreciated her unwavering support, and years later, he even showed up at her AFI Lifetime Achievement Tribute in 2017, a rare public appearance, calling her a great, great inspiration and saying he owed much of his career to her. Still, loyalty like that comes with a price. Hollywood doesn't forget or forgive, and according to insiders, her support for Allen quietly cost her. By the mid-2000s, the phone wasn't ringing as much. Certain producers stopped calling. The unspoken message, she'd crossed a line. One insider claimed there were consequences, soft bans, silent blacklists, doors closing that never reopened. But Diane didn't seem to care. "I believe my friend," she told The Guardian in 2014. "I have nothing else to say about that." That was Diane, stubborn, fearless, and loyal to the very end. And now, in the days after her mysterious death, that friendship is back under a harsh spotlight. According to someone close to Allen, the director was extremely distraught and shocked when he heard the news, admitting it made him reflect on his own mortality. But what truly stunned people was another detail. Woody allegedly had no idea her health was failing. The source claimed nobody seemed to know. How could that be? How could someone she defended for decades, someone she risked her reputation for, not know she was unwell?
I didn't know she was bulimic. These things came out in the book. We'd have dinner. She'd tell me that she loved me, and then she'd throw up.
Was Diane keeping her distance on purpose, or was something keeping them apart? The irony is chilling. The woman who built her legacy on loyalty spent her final months in almost total isolation. She sold her beloved home, stopped attending events, and slowly disappeared from public life. And then there's that final message, the private recording said to have been made just before her death. No one outside her family has heard it, but people are wondering, was it a confession, a goodbye, or something Hollywood never wanted us to hear? Diane Keaton's loyalty was both her crown and her curse. She stood by Woody Allen through every headline and accusation, refusing to break even when it hurt her career. But maybe that very devotion, that deep need to protect someone she loved, was what shaped how people now remember her.
I had a huge crush on Woody right from the moment I saw him. I was auditioning for Play It Again, Sam, and he was 5'7".
Because behind that signature laugh and her famous wide-brimmed hats, Diane carried heartbreak that no camera ever captured. The deepest one of all came from losing her beloved mother, Dorothy Hall, to Alzheimer's, the 15-year decline that Diane once called the longest goodbye. Those close to her said the pain never really healed. She poured every ounce of that grief into her memoir, piecing together her mother's fading memories using her old journals, trying to rebuild the story of a life slowly slipping away.
What happened was then I became a person who had these 3 unordinary meals a day, which ate up a lot of time, which isolated me, which stunted my growth.
And maybe that's the real Diane Keaton, a woman who spent her life trying to preserve what time and truth kept taking from her. But then came the twist no one wanted to believe. Whispers that Diane Keaton herself might have been facing the same cruel fate that once tore her family apart. Rumors started flying fast. Talk of forgetfulness, canceled events, and her sudden retreat from the spotlight. Hollywood insiders began murmuring that her final message, emotional, cryptic, and recorded just days before her passing, hinted that Diane knew what was coming.
You could puke it up. You ate even more because you knew it was going to come out, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it became an obsession.
Yeah.
And it was not a good time.
It was not
a very
good.
bad time.
The Oscar-winning legend who helped define an entire generation was gone at 79, found in her California home. But the cause? Still a mystery. According to people, her family isn't saying a word, and that eerie silence is only stoking more suspicion. Fans can't help but wonder, was this natural, or was there something deeper behind the hush? Some point to Diane's long, painful history with eating disorders, a struggle she once said nearly consumed her whole life. At her lowest point, she confessed to eating nearly 20,000 calories a day, a heartbreaking cycle of control and chaos that she later described as a mental illness hidden behind a smile. Those words hit different now. So when the woman who turned her pain into art suddenly vanished from public life, the question became impossible to ignore. Did Diane's mysterious final message reveal the truth, or did that truth die with her?
So I didn't see Randy as often, so I wasn't really in the thick of it. He drank.
For over 40 years, Diane Keaton wasn't just another actress, she was a survivor, a Hollywood rebel who refused to conform, but somehow stayed adored by everyone from critics to co-stars. But even survivors carry scars. Every time her career stumbled, the critics came for her like vultures. The Lemon Sisters, her 1990 film, sat unreleased for more than a year because no studio wanted to take the risk. Her directorial debut, Heaven, was cruelly dismissed as a conceit imposed on its subjects. That one line haunted her for decades. Still, Diane never stayed down for long. She reinvented herself as an actress, a filmmaker, a mother, and a fashion trailblazer who made wide-brimmed hats and oversized suits, not just stylish, but iconic. She built a brand on individuality. But in Hollywood, being independent often turns into being isolated. When Diane adopted her 2 children in her 50s, headlines split in half. Some celebrated her as brave, while others mocked her for being desperate. But Diane didn't care about the gossip. Still, behind all the laughs and interviews, there was loneliness that even she couldn't laugh away. "I didn't see Randy as often," she once admitted softly. "He drank." And then quietly, the laughter faded. Those who knew her say moments like that revealed a side of Diane most never saw, one full of quiet heartbreak and unspoken pain. And in her final months, that sadness seemed to grow heavier. According to close friends, Diane's health began to decline suddenly and sharply. It was heartbreaking, one source told people. It happened so fast, no one was ready. She was always so full of energy, such a force. Behind closed doors, the once vibrant star was fading, protected fiercely by the family she'd always kept out of the public eye. Even people who had known her for decades didn't know what was happening. They chose to keep things very private, one insider said. Even her closest friends weren't aware of how bad it had gotten. That's how deep the secrecy ran. Total silence from a woman who once lit up every room she walked into. And looking back now, the clues were there, subtle but haunting. In March, just months before her death, Diane shocked everyone by listing her beloved dream home, the same architectural masterpiece she once promised she'd never leave. The 5-bedroom Brentwood estate, which she restored herself brick by brick over 8 years, hit the market for a jaw-dropping $29 million. This wasn't just a house, it was a symbol of everything Diane stood for: art, memory, and control. She even wrote a book about it, The House That Pinterest Built, a love letter to creativity, nostalgia, and permanence. But now, fans can't help but wonder, if she sold the one place she said she'd never give up, what was she really preparing for? Because with every new detail, one thing's becoming clear. Diane Keaton might have known her time was running out, and that final recording might just hold the answers we've all been too afraid to ask. "Something's right because I love it," Diane said back in 2017. Words that perfectly summed up her passion for every little thing she touched. But then, out of nowhere, that lifelong dream, her beloved home, went up for sale. And not long after, the woman who was once a familiar sight on Brentwood's peaceful streets, walking her dog, greeting neighbors with that signature hat and oversized shades, was just gone. She loved her neighborhood, one local remembered. She was funny, warm, and totally eccentric in the best way. She talked to her dog like he was human. That was Diane, pure, unfiltered charm. But then, one day she just stopped showing up. To those who knew her, it was strange. To fans who followed her every post and appearance, it was downright unsettling. And to the few who'd heard whispers about her mysterious final recording, it was starting to sound like a goodbye. No one realized it until it was too late. By 2025, fans began to sense something was off. Diane stopped attending red carpets and skipped her usual award season events, the ones she never missed. Her Instagram, once filled with witty captions and snapshots of her design projects, grew silent. And then the bombshell, she quietly listed her Brentwood mansion, the same one she once said she'd never part with, for sale. Those close to her noticed a change. She'd become more private, more reflective, almost as if she was tidying up the loose ends of her story. And that final message she reportedly recorded just before her death, it still hasn't been released. According to one insider, it wasn't a goodbye at all. It was a confession. So what was Diane Keaton preparing the world for? Or who was she protecting from the truth? From Annie Hall to Something's Gotta Give, Diane rewrote Hollywood's definition of beauty, love, and aging, proving you could be bold, brilliant, and unapologetically yourself at any age. But behind that confidence, there was always mystery. And now, it feels like her final act might have been her most shocking one yet. Hollywood has a bad habit of rewriting endings, twisting facts until the truth disappears behind perfect lighting and PR spin. But if the rumors are true, if Diane's last words really exposed the darker side of fame, then her final act wasn't just another performance, it was revelation. A truth bomb that could change how we see her, and maybe how we see Hollywood itself. So what was Diane Keaton's final message? Why hasn't it been made public yet? Was it a farewell to her fans? Or a warning to the industry that shaped her? One thing's for sure. In a city built on secrets, maybe Diane finally decided it was time to tell the truth. Because if there's one lesson she left behind, it's this: even when the credits roll, the story's never really over. If you found this story as haunting as it is fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think Diane's final message revealed? See you in the next one.